All right, let's turn our attention to other stories. At the time when Nigeria is battling to surmount the challenges posed by the global drop in the price of oil, Lagos State is gradually weaning itself of dependence on allocation from the federal government.
The state recently announced plans to increase its internally generated revenue I.G.R to 30 billion naira monthly in 2017, 50 billion naira monthly in 2018, as well as a yearly budget size of 1 trillion by 2018.
Now, before 1999, the entire machinery of tax collections in the state could barely rake in 600 million naira a month. Then the state governor, Bola Tinubu at the time, drew a new financial master plan to generate more funds for the state, and he succeeded in raising the I.G.R for more than 8 billion or to more than 8 billion naira monthly. Today, the template laid by Tinubu is what successive governors in the state have followed and are still following.
The Lagos State Internal Revenue Service is the major revenue-generating agency of the Lagos State government, saddled with the responsibility of collecting taxes. Over the years, the agency has increased the state's internally generated revenue by executing various pioneering programs and implementing strategies which have impacted positively on revenue generation and collection.
Now, let's examine the internally generated revenue of Lagos State in the past 5 years. In 2012, the state raked in a total of 219 billion naira, that's in 2012. In 2013, the I.G.R totaled 384 billion naira and 276 billion in 2014, and then 268 billion in 2015. And already in the first quarter of 2016 alone, 101 billion naira.
Surprisingly, the I.G.R of Lagos State is higher than that of 32 states combined, with a total revenue generating of 268.22 billion naira last year. It is followed by River State, which has 82.10 billion, and Delta State has 40 billion, 0.80 billion, and we have Ogun State with 34.59 billion, and Edo State 19.11 billion naira.
Now, recently, the Economic Confidential and Economic Intelligence magazine, in its latest report on I.G.R, revealed that only Lagos State generated more revenue than its allocation from the Federation account by 150%. Now, the report indicated that 15 states may go bankrupt and may not stay afloat outside the federal account allocation due to lack of foresight in revenue generation drive coupled with armchair governance. All right, joining us right now in the studio is the chairman of the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, Olufolarin Ogunsanwo. It's good to have you in the studio right now.
Good morning.
You're welcome. Did I pronounce the name?
Ogunsanwo, I guess.
Perfect.
Okay,
Exactly.
Thank you.
I love local names. Now, let's get to what's going on. I must say, great job at the Lagos Revenue Service from what we hear and what we hear from the people saying and all the statistics in there. But let us understand, what is that magic wand in Lagos that I.G.R is raising or rising rather from one level to the other since the past 5 years or something?
Yeah, basically the taxation is about the law. And when we're talking about taxation in Nigeria, the principal law for the state is the Personal Income Tax Act, which is a federal legislation. The law is the same all over the country under the auspices of the Joint Tax Board. Joint Tax Board is about uniformity of taxes in the nation. And what makes a difference in Lagos is the way the law is being implemented. You agree with me, just like you said before now, during the tenure of the former governor, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, he saw this vision that it's very likely that we might have this problem with the oil that everybody has been depending on in Nigeria. And he took the bold step of granting autonomy to the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service so that the place will be run professionally, getting the right people in the right places, and then doing things right. So the result of that vision is what we have been seeing over the years, increasing revenue, to be able to take care of so many things for the masses and all these things. So basically, the law is the same. But like I said, the mode of implementing the law is what makes the huge difference for us in Lagos State.
All right, so for this huge sum you're expecting next year and the year after, you're tinkering with the issue of automation in collection. How will that work?
Yes, you all agree with me that technology plays a very vital role in revenue generation now, because the era whereby you expect people to just go to the banking floor to make payment, for instance, it takes a lot of time and it does not engender voluntary compliance. But if for us in Lagos State, we have been leveraging on technology to allow people to actually make payment through different and various sources. For instance, we have deployed POS machines. Virtually everybody has an ATM card in Nigeria today. So rather than people going to the banking floor, though that is still existing side by side with the new innovations, but we expect that you can actually make payment with your POS card, and then you can even do so again through direct transfer to government accounts. And then you can also do...
Is that meant to complement the old ways of doing things?
Yes, so that, for instance, we're talking about the informal sector. The people in the informal sector will basically not want to leave their marketplaces or their business to be going to the floor of the bank to pay. And we believe that for us, part of tax administration is convenience. Part of the canons of taxation is convenience, where people can, the mode of filing their returns, the mode of payment and everything, you must make it convenient for the taxpayer. So for us in Lagos State, we have done a lot in the past and we are still doing in the area of assisting people to file their returns. In January, for instance, we put in place a process where employers of labor can actually file their returns electronically.
What about the informal? You were talking about the informal sector.
Yes.
Those, they are the ones they are called the unbanked sector of the economy.
I'll still come into that.
Okay,
we'll still talk about that very well. But I'm just trying to let you know, you talked about technology.
Yes.
And I'm trying to give you the basis of how we've been going about that. So the employers of labor had the opportunity to actually electronically submit their returns, and it was a huge success. And then added to that now is the mode of payment that I'm talking about. We have M-Pay. You can now make use of your card to pay online. You can use POS machine to pay. All these things are put in place to engender voluntary compliance. We believe that if we do so, that will help us to rake in more money for the government at the simplest cost and for the benefit of the taxpaying public.
All right, so the unbanked and the informal sector, how do you intend to galvanize them with the use of technology or otherwise?
Yes, the informal sector is one of the areas that we are looking at to actually show up the revenue of the state. Most states generally, even in Nigeria today, that's the area they are looking at. For us in Lagos, we've spent the past 10 years trying to sensitize, enlighten, and engaging the organized sector. And over the years, there's a high level of voluntary compliance now. But when you look at the informal sector is the area that people there, they don't have accounts, they can't even determine the amount that,
so
that
how
they are
do you
making
tax
and all these
such
things.
People?
So the Personal Income Tax Act that I referred to earlier, Section 36, subsection 6 of it, actually make room for presumptive tax regime. The presumptive tax regime was premised on the fact that the people in the informal sector are people that doesn't have accounts. Most of them are not even too literate, even though they know they are making profit. And to be able to assess them based on the books of accounts, the turnover and all these things is almost impossible. So the presumptive tax regime is a process by which you can just look at the type of sector they operate in, the type of trade, the size of the market and all these things, and predetermine the tax that should be paid by each of them. What we are doing is We have simplified processes in such a way that we have been engaging them. We've had several meetings with the market men and women. We've had several meetings with the National Union of Road Transport Workers and the Road RTAN. We have also had series of meetings with Lascota, Association of Tradesmen and Artisans, with a view to sensitizing them, letting them know the reasons why they must pay their tax and the reason why, the importance of it and the benefits of doing so. So what we have been trying to do is to kind of, first of all, ensure that as many of them as possible come into the tax net before we now go down to the nitty-gritty. We are carrying out some very, very
so with
serious
this
enumeration.
presumptive tax, will it be a fixed rate? Because, like you know,
exactly, that's what.
Would it be a fixed rate? What if their business fluctuates? This month you rake in 10,000, the next month you rake in 2,000 or 5,000, for instance. So why should they be fixed?
Yeah, what we try to do is it's just something like, there's also what we call minimum tax in the tax law. For instance, in Nigeria, anyone that earns less than 300,000 naira in a year pays tax at 1%. And that 1% translates to 3,000 naira, and that's about 250 naira per month. So we have all this at the back of our minds before we actually go ahead to set income or to set the tax that each person will pay. So for instance, we expect a market man or woman to pay just 4,000 naira in a year. And the 4,000 naira, they have agreed to be paying, to pay that amount. And the 4,000 naira, if you look at it, is just very, very low. It's just about a little above 300 naira per month, which we feel that is just reasonable enough, regardless of the market where they operate or the type of volume that they trade in. All we are trying to do is to ensure that this government in Lagos State is a government of inclusion. We want everybody to be involved, to participate in the revenue collection, so that they can also enjoy all the social amenities that the government is providing.
All right, you talked about voluntary compliance earlier on. Give us a picture. Right now, are the people complying by themselves, or you are, extending an instrument to make them comply?
Exactly. Basically, with the formal sector, like I've said, they are complying because we have carried out series of enlightenment, engagement. We've even been holding stakeholders meeting with them on yearly basis to actually listen to them and hear what the problems are. It's like a kind of feedback mechanism. And over the years, we have discovered that they have been, the basis their level of compliance has improved significantly. But we have since discovered that the informal sector is the area that there isn't much compliance. For instance, we believe that we have over 20 million people in Lagos State. That's the population. And then, as I speak, we have just about 5 million people on our database, which means that, and we expect that the number of taxable adults in Lagos should be like 8.5 million, which means we still have about 3.5 million people that are not yet on our database. And we looked at it again further. Further research shows that most of these people are actually from the informal sector. The statistics that we got also shows that there are about 37 million micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria. And Lagos being the commercial nerve center of the nation, we want to be about a third of those outfits are actually in Lagos. So when you put together all these statistics, you will discover that, based on what we have on our database, most of the people are still from the informal sector. And because of that, we have stratified our processes in such a way that we are looking at 3 categories of people in the informal sector. These are the market men and women and artisans. Okay. The second category are the people that are involved in these micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises, and some people that are also involved in kind of professional services. And then the third category are the household domestic staff.
Yes.
So if you look at the statistics of people, for instance, in the household domestic staff sector, an average family in Nigeria engages the service of at least not less than 4 of them. An average family or average home has a security man, a nanny or house help, a gardener, and probably a driver. So you will discover that if you take the aggregate, if you multiply that 4 by the average number of families, you will discover there is a large number of people really that are in that category, and our record shows that they are not paying taxes.
But you also know that those category of people don't really have job security. So what happens when they lose their job? Will you still go after them to pay taxes?
Yeah, that's why I said we are aware of all that fact. But what we are trying to do, that's why I've been mentioned of the minimum tax regime, the minimum tax that is embedded in the law. So for us, we believe that if these people also contribute their own quota, regardless, it can be broken down into monthly basis.
But what if the house girl can have a job today and tomorrow he doesn't have a job? She doesn't have a job anymore, and she may not have a job for the next.
While they have the job, we expect that they should still comply. The position of the law is that everybody, Section 24, subsection F of the Constitution, actually states that anyone that earns an income must truthfully declare it and pay tax to the government. So it is a position, we are looking at it from the point of view of the law and not the sentiment of whether they are employed or not. As long as they are employed, we expect them to actually declare their income and pay their tax.
Yeah, but certainly one would look at the fairness of the law on these people, and at the end of the day, their ability to comply with that law in terms of fairness. But however, we'll come back to this. You're watching TVC Breakfast, and we're discussing the projection by Lagos State to have or to rake in about 30 billion naira in the year monthly by 2017, and then 50 billion by the year 2018.
And for 1 trillion naira budget for the year.
For the year, that's a big one, and that's a great projection. But however, we have the chairman of Lagos State Internal Revenue Service with us in the studio. We're discussing how Lagosians can understand how these projections are going to turn out. Olufolarin Ogunsanwo. Now let's see this projection in real terms. 30 billion in 2017 and 50 billion in 2018, as the case may be. What is going to be different between what is done now and what is done at that time? And how did this projection, this amount, how was it arrived at?
Yeah, it's not only the Lagos Internal Revenue Service that generates revenue for the state government. There are other revenue generating agencies as well. And just like we just heard now, His Excellency believes that, for instance, the Atlantic City is going to play a pivotal role in revenue generation. We have the Lekki Free Trade Zone that is coming up, refinery. The governor is also doing a lot in terms of tourism. The Lagos has a lot of tourism potentials. Tourism. Just on Friday, with the One Lagos logo and the program, the sensitization program about the tourism potentials of the state was showcased. And there are so many other things as well that it's not only from taxes alone, but there are so many other opportunities that are bound in Lagos that would actually assist in boosting the revenue of the state.
What about the waterways, the waterway corporations and the tariffs?
Yes, there is also a lot of plans to actually, and then all these things there are so many things that are being put in place in terms of the transportation sector as well. The rail, the blue rail will soon come up on board. The waterways has been, a lot of work is being done there so that it will improve the transport facilities. The road network is being improved upon. All these things are geared towards improving the tourism potentials and raising the bar in terms of economic activities in Lagos. So we still want to believe that there is a lot of potentials in this economy to actually allow revenue to grow in a way that it will be consistent, and then it will be on the increase. On monthly basis and on yearly basis. But in all this, automation and technology will play a pivotal role. Because all the systems now are being looked into in such a way that there must be synergy in what one department or MDA is doing. We want to leverage on technology to actually assist, like in the area of land use charge, in the area of consumption tax, in the area of tourism that I mentioned, in the area of putting a lot of His Excellency is trying to ensure that all these avenues are well galvanized together in a way that it will actually assist the government to actually raise the bar in terms of revenue and provide more amenities for the citizens. So if you look at the economy itself of Lagos State, the GDP, the amount of wealth that is in this economy, it is almost about, Lagos is about the largest economy. If Lagos were to be a country, it will be about the second or the largest economy.
Because of the population.
In Africa, exactly. It has all the potentials. So all these are the things that are actually that we are thinking of as a government that brought about the issue of raising revenue to 30 billion per month next year.
What about the workforce, the productivity of the workforce? Would you want to tell us something about that?
Productivity
in terms of your workforce, the civil service. I understand there are one or two other ministries now being created, Ministry of Wealth Creation.
Exactly.
And we just meant to, what, tell us about.
Yeah, His Excellency in his wisdom believes that there are so many people out there that are not yet employed and are not adding value to the GDP of the state. So he created the Wealth Creation Fund, which is about 6.25 billion, about 25 billion naira, which people that are looking up to a loan or a kind of soft loan, capital to do their business. He created that trust fund so that anyone, like all the hairdressers, welders, and all these people generally in the informal sector, they can have access to loan at a very low interest rate to assist them to expand their business. When they expand their business, they have a generator, they have all the equipment with which to do their business. They can now employ more people as well. And these people will in turn, contribute their own quota to the system, and they will also pay taxes to the government. The first tranche has been released, I think, about 6.25 billion for the first year, and it will be done for the next 4 years. Okay. And this now, all the processes are being put in place, and by next month, they will start assessing that loan. And in turn, we believe that this will also add value to the economy of Lagos State. More people will be employed, there will be higher productivity, and then all this will also translate into additional revenue for the government.
All right. Now, the Corporate Affairs Commission is registering new companies, new businesses every day, because when you go there, you see it's a beehive of activities, as the case may be. Now, let's take it from the perspective of a newcomer in the business, someone who just wants to set up a new business. How will they key into start the paying taxes to the state government, as the case may be, especially when they have not started production of whatever they are doing? Where do they come in? Let me put it that way. How do they start paying taxes?
Yes, for anyone, for instance, we have taken note of that as a revenue agency, and we have created a tax information desk in all our almost 40 tax stations and even at the head office. So we call it a tax simplification unit, whereby anyone that is desirous of starting a business in Lagos can actually approach that desk and look, here am I want to start a business in this sector. What are my tax obligations to the government? And by doing so, we will now be able to explain to them that, look, for you as the owner of the business, you need to file your return and pay your tax under the direct assessment regime. For your employees, the payee guideline says that you must register them as soon as you start that business. You must register them under the PAYE scheme. Then we'll give you all the details as to how you go about that, and then how you conduct yourself, and the amount of tax that is supposed to be paid by each employee once you supply all the details. They are also expected to pay business premises levy, registration and renewal levy, which is 10,000 for registration and 5,000 for renewal on a yearly basis. They're expected to pay 100 naira development levy per employee, including himself. And then, if there are transactions that involves withholding taxes and everything, how you go about it, how the rates that is applicable, maybe you get the service of a lawyer, you engage an auditor, you give small contract to some people, and then whatever, all those rates are there. And then
some people have called that multiple taxation, which perhaps is not really too good for their business.
no, there's nothing like multiple taxation. When you talk about multiple taxation, that means you are taxing revenue and income from the same source. Okay? But many people misconstrue. You see, when you talk about multiple taxation, you have to understand what the whole process is all about. There's what we call taxes, there's what we call user charges, there's what we call rates and levies. So there's need to actually segregate them from each other. When we talk about tax, we talk about personal income tax, we talk about withholding tax and all this consumption tax. When we talk about user charges, if the government comes to remove your refuse for you and they ask you to pay a fee, that's a user charge. Okay? If someone decides to block the road to have a party and the local government now comes to you to say that you have to pay a road closure or merriment charge, it's a user charge. If you don't make use of the road to have your party, if you go and make use of a hall for your party, nobody's going to charge you that rate. So people, we misconstrue all these things, and all the taxes that are collectible by each tier of government is well stratified in Act 21 of 1998, as amended by the Gazette that was released by the erstwhile Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy then. So all these taxes, anything outside that Act 21 that is not embedded there, then that means it's an illegal tax which you can actually challenge.
All right. Thank you very much for spending your morning with us on The Breakfast in understanding the projections for revenue generation in Lagos State. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. We've been talking with the chairman of the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, the person of Olufolarin Ogunsanwo, and he's been taking us through the projections and what it would take to achieve the 30 billion naira monthly I.G.R in Lagos State by 2017 and 50 billion naira monthly I.G.R in 2018 and 1 trillion naira, amounting to 1 trillion naira annual revenue in Lagos State.